the chaos conference that is the Big 12 got another dose of chaos. You know, like when Scarecrow goes around and gives dosage of his formula to people and makes them go crazy. Yeah, we got some more doses of craziness in the Big 12. Let's start with Colorado beating Iowa State. What a letdown for the Cyclones. You went on the road against a Colorado team that had not yet won a Big 12 conference game. You're still in control of your own destiny to make the Big 12 championship game 24-17. How about Caden Salter? Do you remember that time? I mean, Iowa State ran for 236 yards in this game, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Rocco Becht in the passing game, non-existent. 18 of 33, 205 yards, and a touchdown. The formula for beating Colorado has been very clear all year long. Hand the football off. Hand the football off and have a semi-competent passing game. Iowa State did one of those things. Just the one. Just the one. It is difficult and I'm sure frustrating for fans in Ames to lose a game in which you average 6.4 yards a carry and do not have, was there a single negative? Okay, there were a handful of tackles for loss for the Buffs in this spot. But regardless, 6.4 yards a carry as a team and you lose? You lose? Caden Salter. Remember when Caden Salter got benched? And look, coming into the year, I wasn't some Caden Salter truther. He's going to win the Heisman. He's the best quarterback in the Big 12. He's this. No, I thought Caden Salter was serviceable. I thought he was a bridge quarterback, guy that can win you some games. And while you get Juju Lewis ready for 2026 and beyond, he's a good, solid veteran to learn behind. And Colorado made a change way too quickly. And Caden Salter showed you why in this game he never should have been benched. And if you're a Buffs fan that looks back on this and goes, why in the world did we ever why did we make these changes? What was happening? This was always possible. It wasn't perfect early on. The Georgia Tech game wasn't good. But man, it seems like Deion Sanders overreacted to one game. He did. And based on the outcome of this matchup, I think it cost his team at least a game. Now, Colorado's season is just, at this point, fighting for bowl eligibility or playing spoiler with somebody else on their schedule. I'll give Colorado fans a good vibes here. It's hard to have the greatest of vibes, even when you pull an upset worthy of storming the field in the eyes of the fans in Boulder for their first Big 12 conference win. Their next game after the bye is at Utah. Good luck with that. But the rest of their games, manageable. Arizona, at West Virginia, Arizona State, at Kansas State. Looked a lot tougher before the season, somewhat manageable here. But the Chaos Conference knows that any game can go with really any outcome here. But Salter, 16 of 25, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Colorado ran for 148 yards against the Iowa State defense. I didn't think I would see the day. I did not think I would see the day where the Buffs actually ran the ball, at least respectably well. It was solid. It was acceptable. It was good enough. That's all they've ever needed. The receiving core for the Buffs, always been elite. One of the best in the Big 12. You just need a little semblance of balance like that. Colorado's not going to go on some magical run. This says more about Iowa State. The lowest of vibes for Cyclones fans. Because you're not going to the Big 12 championship game again. And you're playing out the rest of the season for vibes. Maybe to see if Rocco Becht will come back for another season in 2026. I would want him. Of course you'd want him to come back. But this is just disappointing. And the Big 12, just week after week, they're just knocking one team off over and over and over again. Oh no, what happened in TCU? TCU that lost a heartbreaker earlier this year on the road against Arizona State. Who, without Sam Levitt, newsflash, not very good. Jeff Sims, not the answer. 42-10, Utah is still good. They'll be in my top 25 this week. Kansas State 41, TCU 28. Oh no. Kansas State figured it. Kansas State, if they win out, maybe they go to the Big 12 championship game. Some people, me, picked them there before this year. But, well, I guess kind of. I picked Kansas State to be 10-2. They can't do that. They've already got the 4 losses. But for TCU to not be that, they're just destined to be what a lot of teams in the Big 12 feel like they are going to be. Every week that I watch the Big 12. And it's exciting. It's fun. Anybody can beat anybody. I see a lot of solid. There's not a lot of great. There just is. TCU should be better. Can't figure it out on defense. Earlier this year, it looked like they had. Nope. North Carolina is just that absolutely, positively terrible. Cincinnati's a surprise team in the Big 12. Played just okay against UCF. Got the win, unbeaten in Big 12 play. How much are we trusting the Bearcats? We'll continue to find out as their schedule progresses. Cincinnati, by the way, that beat UCF 20-11. They have won 5 straight football games. Their only loss is to Nebraska, who I've ranked in the top 25 by 3 points in a neutral site that was really a road game. They've got Oklahoma State this week on the road. The Cowboys aren't good, but they do have shirtless guys waving their shirts around, and that's awesome because it's a vibe, it's energy, and that's what the program needs. They play Baylor, at Utah, Arizona, BYU, and at TCU. So if Cincinnati is truly Big 12 championship worthy, they're not going to backdoor their way in. They'll have to beat the heavy hitters. But the heavy hitter is not on Cincinnati's schedule. This conference feels like Texas Tech versus the field. And right now, I'd have a hard time taking the field. Kansas is solid. They're not great. Their defense is poor. Their offense is not. And Texas Tech held them to 17 points. This Red Raiders defense that I talked about all offseason for the moves they made, commending them for the job they did going out and adding real talent, addressing their weaknesses from a year ago. By the way, Kansas' defense, I don't know that Lance Leipold will be retaining his defense coordinator after this year. They gave up 18 points in the first quarter. But this was a competitive game at the half, and then in the second half, Texas Tech made this very not competitive. The Red Raiders ran for 372 yards. Cameron Dickey ran for 263 just by himself. Now, Texas Tech, again, had to have Will Hammond come into this game. And this is really the question the only question I have with Texas Tech. Because I said in the offseason, boy, David Bailey, Romello Height, these are guys. This Texas Tech defense with Jacob Rodriguez, they look like they could be. Yeah, they're just better. Remember, Utah looks good. I think Utah is a good team. Texas Tech, in a game that Baron Morton was injured and left, ended up winning the game. It was closer than the final score indicated, but Texas Tech went into Salt Lake City and was the better football team. They were the better football team. And right now, I don't know, home, neutral, away, who are you picking to beat Texas Tech? It would take an upset that most people are not going to expect. Because when you just watch this conference on a weekly basis, like I and many others do, you know the Red Raiders are the best team. And there's a gap. It's Texas Tech. Then in the next tier, you've got BYU and Utah and kind of it. You know, it's Cincinnati, I guess. I don't know who's beating the Red Raiders. That's why they play the games. We're only halfway through the regular season. I will be kind of surprised if Texas Tech finishes the regular season 12-0. I won't be stunned. Just because going 12-0 is really hard. I don't care what conference you're in. I don't care what team you are. I don't care how good you are or how great a football you're playing, especially with the in and out of Baron Morton and his health being questionable on a week-to-week basis. Boy, Will Hammond becomes one of the most important players in the Big 12 conference more and more as the year goes on. But man, the way that this league is trending, I think everyone is just going to try and wind up and take their mightiest swing against Goliath, and Texas Tech is Goliath. They just look way better. They look like they are in a class of their own, which is why, for those on YouTube, you will once again be seeing my preseason Big 12 power rankings. Ignore that Kansas State thing. And Arizona State, I stand by them having them second, but without Sam Levitt, yeah, they're just a completely different team. Texas Tech is one. I should have put a blank space at number 2. It should have been Texas Tech, gap, probably another gap, maybe one more gap, and then the rest of the Big 12. Everybody is looking up at the Red Raiders. The good news. Here's the good news. I'm going to end on an optimistic note. With the Holy War up this week, I'm so excited for that football game. I cannot wait. It is the most underrated rivalry in all of college football. But Texas Tech going forward, if they're not able to keep Baron Morton healthy You think they could stumble, maybe, but if you're a Big 12 fan and you want to see two teams from this conference get in the playoff, you want Texas Tech to win every game possible. If Texas Tech goes 12-0, that is the best chance the Big 12 has to get two teams in. Like TCU when they went to the national championship game. If they'd had a 12-team playoff, there would have been two Big 12 teams in. 10-3 Kansas State, 12-1 TCU. That's where you're looking for. So that's the optimistic look at the landscape of the Big 12. But just feels like every week we're learning, that team is just, this week it was Iowa State and TCU. Yep, they're not it. They're not there. Houston, when they played Texas Tech, we learned, Houston's on the rise. They have not arrived just yet. So everybody's looking up at the Red Raiders, and good for the fans in Lubbock. Good for the good people of Lubbock and my Red Raiders.